Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live on the 15th of May, year 2024. Hope everyone is having a fantastic time, enjoying the warmer weather. And I know a lot of people went through graduations. People are graduating from colleges and schools are closing. So all kinds of amazing events, and hope everyone had a fantastic Mother's Day to all the mothers. And let me welcome our panel. Today we have Patricia here, who is part of our core group of meditators. And then we have Sri Lakshmi, who is online listening to this live stream. So I wanted to continue the conversation, Patricia, that we were having last time, which is we were talking about being stuck in the, like both Carolyn Myss and Dr. Joe Dispenza, they always talk about how much we need to work on releasing the first, second, and third chakras or cleansing it, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza has the Blessings of the Energy Center that balances our energy centers. Then he has that pulling the mind out of the body breath work to cleanse the energy centers. So we talked about Energy Center 1 last time, that Energy Center 1 is about our pulling towards the earth. So it is towards what we learned in the New Earth about the egoic wanting over like the materialism and materiality of the world. That is the pulling, and that is what leads to more of familial pulling, right? It has to do with tribe. It has to do with all kinds of generational trauma, family trauma, generationally what is going on. That is why, remember when we used to do the Ring of Fire, I think Ring of Fire, the meditation, Dr. Norm Shealy says, put all your unfinished business with your tribe, with your family, with your generation, all your familial issues, put it on that red fire, right? On the altar of the red fire. So now let's talk about Energy Center 2 and 3. If you want to start about it, and then I'll tag everyone, and then I'll come back. Thank you.
So yes, I'm gonna use my notes from the
Sure. Thank you.
Carolyn Myss, yes. What was it, workshop, or it was like a medical intuition course. So second chakra, she title is as partnership. So the first one, the root chakra, first center, was about groups, belonging to groups, which is the tribe, family, country, communities, that kind of one. Now, the second chakra, according to her, it's about relationships, like one-on-one, about partnership. So this one, the meaning of the chakra is a power to act with integrity, creatively, sexually, and financially. So anything that has to do with creativity, sexuality, and finances. It's communion. It's physical desires. It's work. It's sense of personal identity and emotional boundaries. Kind of honor one another, and creativity, because it's the big creative center. When we have children, we creativity ideas, and the fears that are connected with that second center are loss of self-control, being controlled by others, or loss of physical power. The strengths that she was talking about connected to the center, if the center is balanced, the strengths are strength to survive on one's own. I don't know what I wrote. Oh, take risks, that we are confident to take risks and recover from loss. So it's that, sense of I can do this kind of thing, the confidence. Now, as far as the physical areas that it represents, so we have sexual organs, internal and external. We have large intestines. We have third lumbar vertebrae. We have pelvis, buttocks, this areas in your body. So I guess if we have any energetic diseases that we feel, which is low back and pelvic pain, that's origin of sciatica, OBGYN problems, and sexual potency, prostate and bladder problems. So that's kind of, we know that we stuck there if we have any of those energetic diseases. And yeah, she was asking, she did post a lot of questions according to that centers. So just to give you an example, what what your answer is to know if you're stuck in the center is, do you have a lot of creative ideas? Do you act upon them or deny them? Now, list your personal creative strength and so on and so forth. About sexuality, about like, do you feel that divine justice influences your life? Or how much power does money have over you? This is also that part. I think that, it's interesting because when Caroline Myss was talking about the, oh my goodness, what's the word for the, like, there was a prostitute, there was wounded child, archetypes. So she was talking about archetypes. We did brush upon this topic in one of our Q&As. I think that the archetype of prostitute is really assigned to that center, not only because of sexuality, but also about finance and financial insecurities, because it's like what we do, to feel secure, how much of our soul we sell for the security, right? And that's what that archetype is about. It's very, very interesting. And quickly about the third chakra, which is the chakra is about self-esteem and ego. And again, this is meanings anything like personal power in relation to the outside world, ego, personality, self-esteem, and kind of honor yourself. So fears connected with that center would be worthlessness or inferiority, that someone else won't take responsibility, or that you have too much responsibility. Then strength, feeling of I am okay, I have what it takes to succeed. Again, very close to the second chakra too. And physical areas, so when you have any physical issues around like upper abdomen, up to the rib cage, kind of pancreas, liver, gallbladder, spleen, kidney, adrenals, small intestines, and stomach. So I know that I had issues all my life with stomach, with liver. So that was my kind of thing. So cue that was where I'm stuck. Energetic diseases, if you suffer any ulcers or tumors of the stomach or small intestines, diabetes, pancreatitis, indigestion, anorexia or bulimia, hepatitis, adrenal excesses or deficiencies, arthritis, colon problems. So that's all, kind of gives us information if we are stuck and we need to energetically clear those areas. So Carolyn Mays offers that meditation that you gave us, the evening meditation, when we kind of go over each center, but also that Norm Shilley's meditation about circle of fire, ring of fire, when we put unfinished business on those centers. And so the first center will be tribe, family, and a group circumstance, our like physical body. Second center would be you're carding now. I started. Let me put that. Okay.
No, the live started. I'm just recording it on Zoom as well. Sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. So the first chakra will be tribe, second partnership, which is relationship to other, like one-on-one, sexuality, finances, and the third one would be just ego and self-esteem, responsibility, taking responsibility or stuff like this. So that's what I know. And I was actually on the way to work listening to Eckhart today about happiness and how important it is to live in the moment, and then the whole past and future disappears. And now when we talking about this chakras, it's all history. It's like all past, it's all the story. Like all those three chakras are really all in the past, right? Like the identity that we build up and the fears that we build up for years, that's where we stuck. So Eckhart just says, keep bringing yourself in the present moment, just through inner body awareness, breath, or just outside world, just sensory perceptions. And I was practicing being stuck in the traffic this morning. It was so incredibly interesting, how as I was listening to him, I was putting into work, because I was starting to get anxious that I'm gonna be late. So the story was starting to come up, well, they're gonna fire me, I'm gonna look bad, I want to be perfect, I want to be always on time, because I know what it creates if someone is late. But then I already left an hour earlier. What else can I do? I'm just sitting here and doing my best to get there. So observing my thoughts, beating myself up, what is gonna do? So I was just breathing, enjoying the rain on the car, and just, breathing. So that was a great practice. And once I got there, everything was so peaceful. It was no drama. But I wonder if what you even posted today, one of your posts, was that we create that, like the drama, out of our state of mind. It's not that the drama, that whatever happened outside create our state of mind. It's the other way around. So it's very powerful, but so simple, but not easy. I mean, my mind constantly wants to give me a story and feed me stuff, and bringing up the past experiences or thinking about the future. And I actually have to, what Dr. Zhao says, just put the animal down. It's like, stay. We're gonna just enjoy the drive. Count our blessings, because that's where the energy gets better. When I just realize, I'm alive and I'm going to work. It's really beautiful day, even though it's raining, but that's one of the state of nature, and I get to experience it. it's just, and I was just blessing all the drivers being on the road with me, because we are all in this together. All of us are going to work, to serve, it's just like all of a sudden I felt almost like blessed that I'm there, in that moment. So I kind of use my mind to talk myself through it, to start concentrate and focusing on what's here now
Hey,
instead of.
Patricia, it's sort of like blind faith. You got to really believe that being present is really going to detangle the monster that you're experiencing, like unraveling that anxiety. And I think I shared with you when I used to have that happen to me in traffic. I started with the basics. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to flip out. Okay, I'm feeling the steering wheel. I'm feeling the air conditioning. Then I started watching what other people were doing. And then I'm like, well, I'm looking around, I'm going, well, this guy's acting like it's no big deal. He's laughing, telling jokes on the phone. I'm in like a major panic mode, man. I want to get my ass going, And then I look over, there's another person just like daydreaming out the window, drinking water, just enjoying herself. Of course, then I see the next person like this, like chewing her teeth, But I'm thinking, well, I'm not as bad as her. And then before you know it, I'm 55 miles an hour. I'm like, what the hell? It's just like I could have made this into a whole, it could have, life would have stopped if my mind would have let it. But having that blind, I call it blind faith, believing in what you just said, the present moments, it's liberating when you realize it really works and it's a go-to, and it doesn't matter what you're going through, you be present. And when I was going through that pain, Punian showed me where the ancient Chinese used to focus on their pain. It was their anesthetic, And I was doing that, man, and it worked. It took the pain out. I mean, so it's just like the anxiety attack, when you're in that panic mode. The last thing you want to hear is for someone to tell you how to not do this or do this, just do that. You don't want to hear nothing. All you want to do is get through it, and everybody's making it worse. But if you focus on and Eckhart talks about this, if you focus on making your anxiety worse, I mean, okay, now I'm having an anxiety attack, a panic attack. All right, try to make it worse. And you change your mindset of the trigger that's causing it. You're focusing on the panic. Like, let's say your neck's a ball in your neck or nervousness in your stomach or butterflies in your stomach. You just focus on making the butterflies worse. And before you know it, it turns off and you're sitting here in total amazement. At least that's what happened with me.
I think it's just noticing it and giving it attention. Like I like Thich Nhat Hanh. That was the first time when I actually understood what he said. It's like whatever you suffer, whatever the pain comes out, treat it as a crying child. Like you just, like a mother, embrace it, hold in your arms. And because mother doesn't know initially why the baby is crying, right? Her instinct is just to acknowledge and then just hold it and kind of say, it's okay, I'm here for you. And then many times that just stops it. That metaphor really started to work for me, because up to that point, all around everybody was saying, Patricia, why are you feeling this way? You shouldn't, like get over it, grow up. I mean, they had all these big words that kind of like, I'm not supposed to feel that, and it's something wrong with me that I do. My mom always says, like change, 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 but in a different way. She meant good. She wanted me to be liberated, but I didn't know how. So by her just saying, whatever you're doing, it's not working, so you need to change. But I felt like I'm not good enough as I am, so I have to change. So I took it personally. I didn't understand that I need to change the way I think. or maybe stop thinking. I just thought that she wanted me, my being, to change because I was not good enough. So Thich Nhat Hanh, but by using that metaphor, he empowered me that I am now dealing with this. I'm not just, being told what to do, but I actually notice that I validate that energy, that it's already here. So it's stupid not to acknowledge it, right? Like Eckhart says, it's here. It is what it is. So just acknowledge it. And then by acknowledging it, you coming to the present moment, and without the story, just energy, just the feeling, sensation. And then many times your body will tell you what's going on, or you just change the pattern. You just quickly, get.
And it's funny how many times over the years growing up, you always heard it is what it is, but you really never thought about it. You know what I
No.
mean? And it just became so meaningful to me that them words because I mean, as soon as I got introduced to Eckhart, I was like, what?
But people didn't mean what Eckhart means. They kind of mean like being defeated. Oh, you can't do anything about it, so just deal with it, kind of thing. That's not what he means, though. So now I get it. It's you want what is, because what is now, and that's life. And whatever shape it comes in that moment, it's perfect.
So what you're saying is Eckhart says surrender to the now. They were just surrendering, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it wasn't the surrender. It was just, again, some kind of, defeated suffering, and like, okay, so now I have to deal with it, and it's nothing better. So kind of accepting, but accepting the story, not the life itself. At least that's my experience with some friends that they are surrendering, because they were not present.
Yeah, right. I know.
They were saying it is what it is. Like, it was a different energy with that.
Right.
So what I heard you say, Patricia, is Center 2 is more related to anything with the reproductive organs, whether it's a man or a woman. That's why we have right now so much of the erectile dysfunction. That means that human being, that male, is stuck in energy center 2. Same thing with women. Women have some ovarian cysts, ovarian, something going on with the ovaries, infertility. All that is being stuck in energy center 2.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what OBGYN, sexual potency, prostate, bladder problems, lower back, pelvic pain, sciatica. A lot of people have that lower back pain too, issues. They
And
got
that,
chiropractor.
and the way I heard Dr. Joe explain it, during the meditations, sometimes during the blessings of the energy center, he says, feel and experience the security, right? Feel the balance. When we are doing blessings of the energy center, he says, that is the energy where security comes from. So if somebody is feeling insecure, like self-esteem issues, then that is energy center 2, that we are stuck in.
Self-esteem is actually 3.
I think it's both 2 and 3, because it's like if you don't have the sense of security, then you're going to feel that
Yeah, it's all related. I agree. Like the first, second, and third, because they're all very related. Yes.
So anybody experiencing self-esteem issues, then it's energy center number 2. And the way out of it is what Eckhart says, is through presence power. But how do you bring that presence power? So in Dr. Joe Dispenza's case, he teaches us blessings of the energy center meditation. The more we do blessings of the energy center, we heal those centers 1, 2, and 3. And recently, there's a person who healed their Hashimoto's thyroiditis condition, and that is an energy center too, being stuck in energy center too. And she said that's what she did, like with the pulling the mind out of the body, is she squeezed that center and she squeezed the emotions out of that center. So along with this, the most incredible thing that happened recently is during the Sunday, I'm trying to look for my notes on this. During our Sunday meditation, Shuma Pal and Terry Potter, actually, who do lead our workshops. And I'm going to start planning the next workshop probably in August or so. So who do our workshops, they have been following this person called Michael Brown. And Shuma said, hey, why don't you, she was actually telling Patricia, because Patricia was talking about fear. And she was saying, hey, why don't you try Michael Brown's process? And they were talking about this presence process, the book called The Presence Process by Michael Brown. So I bought the book. I was like, okay, if Terry was talking about it, then Shuma was talking about it. So I said, let me get this book, The Presence Process. And what Michael Brown, I think it may be in the audiobook, it's track 4 or something. It may be chapter 2 in the book. He says that the first 7 months of our life in our womb, we have energetic imprints by our mother. Then from 1 to 7, he calls it the 7-year cycle. 1 to 7, we have additional energetic emotional imprints by a father and mother, right? So, and this is like, he says, it's not even like we are saying our father and mother are going to be bad or anything. It automatically it happens. He says it's a partnership between our soul and that soul, or a partnership between the two people. It automatically happens that we absorb the energetic imprints. So whatever childhood unfinished business that our parents have, they will imprint it on us from ages 1 to 7. They will imprint their childhood insecurities onto us, right? And then from 7 to 14, it's not only our parents, it's like our classmates, our teachers, whoever we get exposed to, which Eckhart says the same thing, right? You're a product of your environment, like the conditioned patterns that you, the people that you grew up with, the family that you grew up in. In Eckhart's terms, that is what he would say, right? But I love the fact that how Michael Brown put it, that it is an energetic imprint, right? The word in it. Some of the words that I would love for you to get the audiobook, Patricia. Don't get the, like when we're reading it, I feel, you know, you read it, you'll get distracted, but because the audiobook, you play it over and over and over again. And if you have an hour-long drive, you'll finish the book within a week, you'll finish, because it's hour back, 2 hours, you're listening to it. Then another hour, within 4 or 5 days, you finish it, then listen to it again. So he says, 7 to 14 until puberty, it's our classmates and everything. Then 7 to 21, it's like the lovers that we meet. I didn't even have one, but people that we meet from 7 to 21, that's kind of like the adult. We're getting a mental body, and we're this thing. We get a mental body from 7 to 14, but 14 to 21, it's getting formed, right? But the coolest part, which is, it reminded me of you so much, Patricia, because every time you would say, like, when you had lost your job and you were home, you would say that you were waking up with panic attacks and heat and perspiration, right? So what he says is, we need to be so present to release these energetic imprints, right? Which Eckhart calls the pain body.
Mm-hmm.
So to release that energetic imprint, we have to be present with it, right? So what he says is when we feel heat in our body, it is like that energy is trying to move, like that stuck energy is trying to move, and we have resistance to the movement of that energy, and that is causing heat. And that turns the
It's
generic
like the
label.
friction, right? The friction.
The friction, perfect. That's the word he used. The friction of that release of energy. That energy is trying to move, and we are not allowing it to move. We are resisting the movement of that energy, and that resistance causes heat.
Even if we're sleeping, because
He says fear, anger, and grief are three aspects of this. Like you could categorize this as fear, anger, and grief. And then what he says is that's why, you know, we term these things, you know, what we term them as, I'm lacking self-esteem. If I'm lacking self-esteem, he breaks self-esteem as self is in steam.
self-esteem.
Right? I'm hot under the collar. I'm hot under the collar. I'm blowing
Yeah,
my
because
hat.
it's all here, right? It's like
I'm hot under the collar. I'm blowing my top off. Look how much
it's coming from your
ears. Look how much we talk about heat, right?
Hey,
And
hey, what about the heat from infection? That's an energy, isn't it? Isn't it all your white blood cells?
it's trying to move. Energy is trying to move, and the more present. So when you were talking about that is Dr. Norm Shealy's method of releasing pain is breathe into the pain. So I worked out. I was actually like really tired today. I worked out yesterday, like did a boot camp thing. And I did, when he said squat, I really did squats. Now I can't even sit on the toilet. Like it hurts to sit on the toilet. So I did exactly that, Hugh. I breathed in, like the whole, my left hip, right? Like from the lower back all the way down to my knees, it like hurts. One, it's age. And two, I don't know why I got into my head that I needed to do that deep a squat. Because I got inspired by him. He's a young guy and he's like teaching, and I was like, oh, he's
challenge yourself. You
challenge yourself, go deep in the squat. And then he said, pick up a heavier weight. Oh, do your vertical push-ups. I'm like, picking up a heavier weight, and it's like now I'm paying for it.
Oh,
then it's
you're
like,
amazing. You're
we take
amazing.
charge of your okay. And then he says exactly what I used to say, Patricia, that we take charge of emotions by taking the charge out of them. Remember, I used to always say, you're feeling that if you feel like some kind of anger or frustration towards your dad, you've still not taken out the charge out of that emotion. Exactly the same thing. So yeah, he says our inherent resistance for emotion to move causes friction, and this friction is the heat that it produces.
Why would we resist it though? Like if
Because
I intellectually know.
for thousands of years we've been saying, oh, fear shouldn't be there, or oh, this emotion should be there. I'm feeling icky, that emotion shouldn't be there, right? Like how were you feeling when you were in the house? You had nothing to worry about. You were safe, you were getting food, you had enough money, but you were like panicking. You were panicking for no reason, right? So I ordered the book as well, so I'll read the book, but next time. But I wanted everybody to know is whenever you feel heat, then that means we are not processing our emotion. There's stuck emotion somewhere and we are not processing it. So he has this thing called consciously connected breathing. So when you're in the car and that story is arising that, oh, I'm going to be late, instead of that, you can practice that consciously connected breathing, get more into the present moment. I do a lot of breath. I have the same thing, right? I have like a 50-minute drive. I have 48 miles to drive, right, from my home. And I like do so much breath work. I do so much breath work.
This is like becoming the greatest practice, right?
I
Because
stay in the present moment. I mean, I'm like blessing everybody that's driving. I'm like, thank you for driving safely. Like it's been raining, April showers bring May flowers is the story in Texas. It rains a lot. We have tornado kind of weather, and I like blessing everyone for keeping me safe, because there were no accidents. There would always be an accident in the opposite direction, or I would see an accident happen and I would have just passed it, but like they had the accident and it didn't still get backed up. The traffic didn't get backed up. And so I'm grateful.
interestingly enough, people judge the weather like, oh, it's a beautiful weather because it's sunny, but then it's raining. Oh, what is stucky weather? Like, I don't feel. But when you think about it, each weather is just the weather. It's like, why do we judge one good and the other one bad? Like, rain is so important. The water is cleansing everything. It's clearing the air from pollen even. Like, I couldn't breathe. It was sunny and windy because there was so much pollen. The rain is cleansing the air beautifully. And I love the rain. So it's like, oh, it's a beautiful weather because it's raining. It's like, yay!
So let me read some of the comments so that we can participate with everyone that joined online. Lakshmi says she's watching. Hello, Lakshmi. And Louise says, hi, everyone, here late, but for a little bit. And then Francesca said, love your perception. Now the comments are moving. Love your perception on this, Patricia. Found it highlights how our mind misinterprets the information it receives and creates its own story. Thank you, Francesca. And then Francesca says, yes, 100% to what Poonam says about how we receive our energetic imprints. Yeah, that's Michael Brown. And I'm eternally grateful to Terry Potter and Shuma, and she got it too. Self-esteem. Yes.
And what about the cold? Does he talk anything about when you're feeling cold? Because I sometimes have, like, my whole body gets into that coldness. It's like I feel in my bones, it's just freezing.
No, he doesn't say anything
inside.
about cold. So what I would say is get the book, The Presence Process, audiobook. Don't get get both, get the audio and the physical book. But he has exercises in it for 10 weeks. And then you can join the group that Terry has so that the group guides you. Like whenever they start in September for 10 weeks, they help you. So if anybody is interested in doing this presence process with a group that meets on Zoom, then please contact Shuma Pal or let me know and I'll get you all in touch with Shuma. And then that way you can go through the process with other people. And they do it in cycles, like they've done it 3 times already. That's what Shuma was saying. It's not like you do it once and you're done. Like for me, like the whole thing is I've done so much work with Dr. Joe, right? Like sitting in meditation. Like I don't feel like more meditation or more sitting and more breath work is actually helpful, because I don't feel that much of like emotional turmoil anymore. I had my first and I'm saying first, my very last turmoil in year 2018, which is I did exactly what Michael Brown says. I was there was a coworker of mine that I had like she would, I don't know why she suddenly had some kind of negative attitude towards me. She stopped talking to me, and then she would do this the kind of frustration whenever she would be around me. So what I would do is like I would sit with my like Eckhart's A New Earth or some kind of meditative music or Sadhguru's chants. And then I came home one day and I put on Sacred Acoustics meditation, and I sat in that meditation. I felt what that emotion felt in my body. And then I burst out laughing after that. After that, I've never cried. I've never yeah, some tears of joy sometimes come, but there's no emotional upheaval. So it's been like 6 years, no emotional
Wow.
upheaval, no emotional upheaval. So that means that was like the last cleansing,
You balanced, right?
balance in that one last cleansing.
Peaceful. That's where peace comes from balance and harmony.
Let me ask Sharon, go ahead, Hugh.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about listening on the way to work. I actually I don't know how many of you take your car to the dealership, how everybody's really happy about sitting in there waiting for their car for a 15-minute oil change that's 2 hours later, and that's not going to have any effect on you, right? Not me. I listen to that Power Now, and I'm telling you what, I'm like, just take it. You're good. Another half hour, you can have it. I don't care less. I'm into this, man. And I'm just sitting, and what I've done, I've taken I take a pad with me, and I write notes as I'm starting and stopping, and then I even mark down the time in case I want to go back and find it. But it's sort of like eventually I'll get the whole book done. You know what I mean? But I only take it if I'm going to have to go to a place which annoying as hell to sit there and wait. You know, and it's like I look forward to the oil changes now. You know, and then
But
so
you know,
anyway,
but you know, it's like everything is like in Carolyn Mace's evening meditation, right? Everything is happening in divine order, right? Everything has divinity to. She says, listen to the sounds today. What did you hear? What did you experience? There were a million sounds. There were a million things that happened, right? Were you present? Like, were we present to it? And like I'd been talking about the car thing, right? Four weeks back or a month and a half back, my car, I was driving back from work, a rock hit my radiator, my coolant leaked. The next day that I drove to work and was coming back, there was a red light that the heat, the car is overheating. And I was like, I'm almost home. I'm very close to home. I still need to drive. Can I keep driving instead of stopping? Right. So now I'm overheating the engine. And then finally, I had this sixth sense of saying, no, I need to get out of the interstate. I'm driving at 80 miles per hour. Let me get off the interstate. And I got off and it died like at the moment I got off the interstate. Right. So now I'm calling so look at the turmoil. If you were late to label it turmoil, right? Call the guy to tow it. I went to the mechanic, got an Uber back. No, I asked the towing guy if he would drop me off home because it was on his way back. He did. I gave him $40 for that, that he did that extra favor that he dropped me off. Then I went and picked up the car.
did he get your phone number?
No.
No, just checking.
Then I get an Uber to go pick up the car, right? That's an whole new thing. Then I go pick up the car. A week and a half later, the car dies again, right? Because there's something wrong. Like once it overheats to that extent, supposedly there's some part of it that gets completely destroyed. It's better to replace the engine. So now I turned the car into the shop, right? Mechanic says, okay, you need to replace your engine. I'll get it to you next week. a week goes by, we call them, oh, the engine is late. You won't have the engine. So I had to go rent a car because I need to go drive into work, right? How many days can I be working from home? So I need to, so now I'm paying for a rental for a week and a half, plus paying for the engine. And it all worked out. It's, if you take it as,
It is
okay,
what it is.
this is exactly the inevitability. What we learned on Friday when we were listening to Eckhart, there was an audio portion called Realizing the Power of Now that we are listening to during our group meditation. And in that 20-minute audio, he says, it is the inevitability of the present moment, right? An uncompromising yes. There's an allowing. We were talking, Sri Lakshmi and I, and Patricia joined us. We were talking about this allowing, this surrender. You can be going through a car, the old us would have said, we would have yelled at the mechanic. We would have said, can you not fix the car? How many times do I have to turn in the car? Now you're paying for the rental. You made me, I didn't tell him anything. And I actually told him, can you do the 60K service on it as well? And I'll pay you for it. Can you add that on? Because I know the car is reaching 60,000 miles. So it's all in the way we deal with things. The more we have this inevitability, it was inevitable that I spend that money. And I knew the mistake that I made by running the car. Once it gave me that red light indicator that the heating system had, there was something wrong with the heat coolant. I should have stopped the car right then. It was my mistake that I kept driving it at 80 miles per hour. And I realized that mistake turned into a $4,000 mistake, right? Which was all mine. So
That's being accountable, right?
I'm responsible for my actions. Karma, right? Karmically, that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
reminder.
That resonates with me big time.
But you know, there's part of it. My lesson is not to beat myself up, because yes, I take so much responsibility that I think I'm the worst person. That
No, that's not taking responsibility. That's
no,
not
what
the right way.
that's my lesson, not to do that. What I'm saying, take the accountability without beating myself to the point that I'm a victim.
The way taking responsibility is understanding that it was divine, that it needed to happen. It would, if you beat yourself up about it, then you're creating a story,
Right.
then you're creating a negative, again, going back into the pain body, attaching to a story. Let me go to Sharon. Sharon, did you want to share anything?
Turn your speaker, turn your mic on, Sharon. Can't hear you.
I got it. Thanks, Hugh. Well, with it is what it is. I have, that's always resonated with me too, because I've heard that off and on all my life. And I think different people mean it in different ways. I understand the way that Patricia was describing it, and also the way that some people use it as a surrender, but other people use it for a long time in just the way that I guess we're using it, to be more accepting and not fighting against things that are the way they are. That doesn't mean you won't try to change them, but you're not freaking out and your emotions aren't on overload. That's one thing that I would say. And the other thing is when Poonam, you were talking about, I believe it was when we talked about nature in the other book group, and nature is one of the things, being outside, and I know it does for some other people in the group too, it really does make a difference. If I'm outside and I really hear the birds sing, I hear woodpeckers pecking on trees, I hear all kinds of squirrely noises, and you know, the wind and the trees, and it's just beautiful. And that's probably one of the most fast ways I can get very calm and very peaceful.
Hey Sharon, I just
Yes.
left I just spent an hour and a half in a cancer survivor group thing, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, so we got talking. Anyways, long story short, people got some big problems, you know, and we don't appreciate things until we lose them. And so surveying the group, like, what does everybody do? And everybody was saying what you're saying right now is like, not everybody, but maybe 2 out of 15 people. But I mean, but they all go outside and they're all getting mindful and they're all getting through. I was like, wow, it's crazy. And um the people that were all negative are the ones that were sitting there complaining, and they don't go outside. They don't, you say mindful, they're looking at like mind your own business. What are you saying? They just take everything in that negative context, you know. But
Yes, I do.
but everybody was oddly enough, I mean, I'm just out of one group into another, and here we are again. Everybody's getting into the mindful outside nature stuff, you know.
Yes, that's one of the best things I think in Eckhart's teachings and in a lot of other teachings also. And do you like to spend much time outside as you can?
When the weather's right.
Yep. Well, some people say the weather's always right.
Right.
Listen,
Yeah.
when I say right for me to go out, but what I do a little sneak preview. I open the garage door. I literally have, listen to this, I literally have office chairs with rollers on it, and I can sit right next to the rain and watch the puddles, the little, I mean, I'll watch,
Oh,
did you ever watch
oh,
the raindrops in a puddle? And
Beautiful.
yeah, it's unbelievable. It's things but before I got in Eckerd, I can look outside in the morning and go into a trance. I look at the little drops of dew and the light show that they put off in the morning.
My gosh.
You know what I mean? I never saw that
Yes.
before. But
Yes.
and then in the rain, when I start looking at the rhythm of the raindrops, I'm thinking, if I tell anybody this, they're gonna think I'm up a tree. You know what I mean? I can
Not
talk
in
to you.
this group, they won't.
Hey, losing your mind, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
happening.
so the thing is, whoever thought getting out of your mind, it's like I need to get out of my mind. They're looking, but you're already out of your mind. Know what I mean? Two different ways of looking at it. You know. But I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it.
I love your examples.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Which, yeah, I gotta watch how I refer to the weather. I don't want to get my ass kicked by Patricia.
So what I'm doing lately, my actually lady boss gave me a book to read. I gave her Tony Robbins's book, Life Force, and she gave me Earthing. So Earthing is about energy of Earth and how we need to keep in touch through our skin to Earth, like go barefoot on the ground or certain things. So I started doing it in the morning for like 10 minutes, going right outside my door. I have like a little rocky, I mean, there's like stone patio. So stones are still okay because they're like in the ground, so the electricity goes through them. And I'm earthing, and no matter the weather, even if it's raining and cold in the morning, I still go out. It's something magical happens.
Well,
No, it does. When your feet hit the ground, it definitely, when they say grounding, be grounded. It's true.
you want to hear my first experience grounding? Oh, it was a
Yes.
good one. It's a beautiful one. Don't do it with snow outside. It's the only thing I can tell you.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I went out and said, so, look at this. I can walk on fire. I can walk in snow. I turn around, the door's locked. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So now I'm like flipping out. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die today. You know, I'm like tuning coming off the real interstate. Safe. Now I'll go through the I gotta go through the rhythm. Spare key. What am I gonna do? I can't run anywhere, but you know, I'm like, oh man, I flipping out. Went around, got the spare key. It's like when I come inside, with practically got frostbite. So I'm no grounder, no more.
What do they say? That God has a sense of humor? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I made it. It was nice. Yeah, I made it.
Let me
That's a
ask.
good one.
Yeah, well, I couldn't feel the ground for about an hour, so that was my grounding.
Yeah. That sounds like a permanent grounding.
Yeah, so I'm
Thank you,
sorry, I didn't mean to
Patricia.
disrupt.
No worries. No worries. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Sharon. I just wanted to see if Mary Jean wants to share anything.
I haven't been on here for a while. Thank you for having me here. I was thinking of a few things. I like humor. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I've been following Eckert for quite a while, and he actually is coming to Edmonton where I live, and so I'm super excited. But it's interesting. I have to share this because I follow Byron Katie a lot. So she talks about fixing the thought or questioning your stressful thought before the emotion, how our thoughts come first and our perspectives, and then the emotion follows. So if I'm thinking a very stressful thought and I'm believing that thought, then of course it's going to affect my emotions. But I have an interesting situation happening where I live. So they put in a safe injection site house very close to a mall where I live and where I live. And I take the bus. Talking about driving, it's funny. I have friends that are, I don't drive, ironically, but I have friends that are really, they're always cursing when they're driving, and some that are just totally calm and courteous, So I don't know what that is, but it can bring out the worst in us, in our consciousness, driving for some reason. But anyhow, I take the bus, and in the bus shelter, the addicts that are there, we have a huge problem here, and I think it is all over the place, but they smoke their crack pipes, and it's gotten really bad. They're all over the place. And instead of feeling compassion, because I will with animals and stray cats, for example, but instead of feeling compassion, I think I'm a little disappointed in one sense in myself. Is I don't even really see them as people anymore. I see them so often, and they sort of are, their heads hanging to the ground, and they remind me of zombies. So I've dehumanized them in my mind, and I don't feel compassion towards them. And I'm thinking, wow, that's not very enlightened of me. But at the same time, I do feel a little bit of compassion, and I keep thinking, why am I not feeling more compassion? And I don't know what to say about that, but I've decompassionated myself towards them. So what do you think about that, Poonam? Like, have you ever experienced a feeling, where you don't have compassion? Like I should, I suppose. I don't know. I'm feeling more disgust, and I'm thinking, well, I've been following Eckert for 20 years. I've seen him live. I've sort of incorporated, I believe, a lot of his teachings, but I don't feel compassion coming from myself. And I find it a little bit shocking. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you can speak.
And it's one more thing before Penny answers. It's like naturally, it's hard to help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. You know what I mean?
I'm not even trying to help them.
I know, but you're trying to
Yeah.
you're trying to look at the human way of just supporting the fact that having compassion is caring, and you're trying to feel for them, but when they don't give no effort, why should you? And that was my biggest thing,
But
and
how can they choose differently? Like Eckert talks about when we are limited in our consciousness and our way of thinking, we don't have choice. You know what I mean? We only go according to our unconsciousness, so to speak, right? So, I mean,
Because you
these
are
peop-
love.
Yeah, so
You
these-
want to share, and
Yeah.
you can't love that.
Maybe
Right.
they're there to show you the contrast, and you got to respect them for that.
oh yeah,
It's the
like
false
Abraham.
contract. They're here to show you, a contrast, what it is not to
Well,
feel compassion.
I keep thinking, like, why did they move in my neighborhood instead of like, I don't know, like my reaction is a bit surprising because I do have a lot of empathy and I do have a lot of compassion. Like I said, especially for animals, they don't have a voice. And
Right.
I don't know how I would um, act more compassionately because you can't really approach them, and nor should you. I guess it's just my thinking towards the disgust that I feel, and I can't explain it, but
But let
I'm
me
really,
interject something there if you don't mind.
yeah,
When you do feel compassion, you do feel empathy, and I can tell that you're a very empathetic person.
right.
And just because you feel compassion, but you kind of section them off, maybe, and you think you've dehumanized them, but you can feel compassion for someone's situation without having to get involved in it or get yourself involved with the people.
But the compassion doesn't seem to be there, you know. I don't feel it for them. I
Well,
think,
maybe you're feeling the negative things that are happening because of it, and it's balancing, taking away from the compassion.
uh-huh. Well, yeah,
I don't know. That was my best guess.
yes, yeah.
What I would say, Mary Jean, is a greater degree of presence is required. That
When I'm
means
around
it's
them.
no, when you feel a lack of compassion, because it's not just a person that is addicted, right? It's not just an addict. Even when you're looking at your microphone, whenever you're looking at your monitor, there has to be a shared beingness. This monitor is me.
Mhm.
So that addict, we have to see ourselves in that
In the
addict.
right, which is what
So
our
that is what is lacking, is you're
I-
not able to, from your presence, you're not looking past their addiction into their presence. So what you
Um,
have to look at as not their physical being, but deeper into their presence. That human has presence too. Everything has presence. Everything is imbued with consciousness. Like
mhm.
to say that I don't have compassion. So I have a coworker that has um, um, whatever they call hyperactivity, attention deficiencies.
Oh yeah, ADD. Mhm.
But it's like very severe, right?
Yeah.
But on the surface, that human being looks fine, right? Like
Yeah.
he looks like a normal human being. So I wanted to, a thought arose today that how do you explain that condition to somebody who has no compassion for him, right? And the thought arose is just imagine him as a quadriplegic. Would you not have compassion if they were a quadriplegic?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? It's just a different kind of chronic illness.
But the quadriplegic didn't have a choice. Where the person that's standing there
This
with the crack
person
pipe.
doesn't have a. This person does not have a choice.
What, the person with the crack pipe?
Does not have a choice because you don't know their life history. You don't know what they have been through.
Mhm.
You don't know their history.
See, I
You
don't.
don't
You know
know.
what?
You don't know how much heavy metals they have in their body, which is what Anthony
Well,
was.
Eckhart always says choice implies a high degree of presence. To have choice, then
Yeah, they're lacking presence, right? So, but
Right.
just because they're lacking presence doesn't mean you lack presence. It doesn't mean that you have to come from a place of that's mental resistance. That means you're judging the other person. You're looking at them and you're judging them and saying that, oh, you don't even have the capacity and capability to not be an addict. So you're judging them. Right.
And I don't normally do that. Honestly, that's not me. I am. But
Just
towards
because
the-
you're vocalizing, just because you're articulating it and vocalizing it, that means your soul is looking for integration, right? Your soul is looking for, hey, this is not your soul, your spirit, your presence is saying, this is not right, because your ego is trying to do that separation.
Yeah.
That's him or her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is me, and I'm not an addict, and that person is an addict. But look at it as that's a chronic illness.
I totally get that. And I guess what I'm reacting to, instead of, and reaction is never good, is the fact that they're impacting, in the bus shelter, and they're here and there and everywhere. So, I mean, I can move, which I will probably, anyhow. But the fact is that I'm reacting more to how it's impacting me. So it's, instead of saying, oh, this poor homeless person who's addicted to drugs, I'm saying this is how it's impacting.
Yeah, we don't
me.
know their story at all.
Yeah,
we don't know their story at all. Yeah. So I know it is getting late. Patricia's about to fall off the chair. So as usual, and one of the things that I noticed, I was kept looking at our group, but somehow this live went onto my page, not onto the group, but at least Lakshmi and Louise and Francesca were able to log in, and they were with us, and all of you were here. So incredibly amazing. Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity, as always. Much love, many blessings. I'll post the recording on our group page, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank
Eternally
you.
Goodbye.
grateful. Many
Namaste.
blessings. Bye.